Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Guys, what if I told you that the Henry Cuomo, the former governor of New York, just lost the Democratic primary for mayor of New York City, and yet he is still staying on the general election ballot? Sounds confusing, right? Maybe even controversial. Well, stick with me because in today's video we are diving into one of the most fascinating political maneuvers in recent New York City history. Cuomo's unexpected decision to remain on the ballot in November, even after conceding to rising progressive star Zohran Mamdani. So, what does this mean for future of New York City? What's Cuomo's real game plan, and how is this setting up a truly wild three-way race this fall? So, let's break it all down. On Tuesday night, Andrew Cuomo stood before a crowd of supporters and conceded the Democratic primary to Zohran Mamdani, a 33-year-old Democratic socialist who captured the progressive vote with an energetic grassroots campaign focused on affordability, housing, and campaign equity. It looked like the race was over. Cuomo had lost, and Mamdani was the new face of the party. But just 2 days later, sources confirmed to CNN that Cuomo will not withdraw from the November general election ballot. That's right. Even though he has lost, his name will still appear on the ballot this fall. So, how is that possible? Well, it turns out that Como had a contingency plan all along. Before the primary, he secured his spot on an independent ballot line called Fight and Deliver. And since he didn't formally remove himself by the deadline, which was this Friday, his name is officially logged in for the general election. So even though he is not actively campaigning right now, he hasn't ruled it out either. So why is Como doing this? So why? The big question is why and why now? Why stay in the race after conceding? Sources close to Como suggest he is playing the long game. He is banking on the idea that the voters who turned out for the Democratic primary aren't the same voters who will show up in the November. Primary voters tend to be more progressive and more engaged in the grassroots politics. But general election voters, they tend to be a broader, more moderate mix, including independents and disaffected Democrats. Como believes that as Mamdani steps into the spotlight and faces more scrutiny, some voters might second guess his bold, left leaning politics, like a rent freeze or a city run grocery stores. And as those policies are debated in the public arena, Como might look like a more stable, experienced alternative. This is classic Como, calculated, strategic, and always with one eye on the public opinion. So, guys, who is in the race now? Now, let's talk about who Como is actually up against if he does stay in. Finally, there is Zohran Mamdani, the man who just defeated Como in the primary. Mamdani is a passionate voice for economic reform, climate justice, and tenant protections. He is popular with the young voters and progressives, and he used digital platforms like TikTok and Instagram to mobilize a massive following. And then there is Eric Adams, the current mayor of the New York City. But here is the twist. Adams didn't even run in the Democratic primary this year. Instead, he is running as an independent. And finally, there is Curtis Silva, a familiar name in the New York politics and the Republican candidate in the race. While his chances are slim in heavily Democratic city, he still appeals to conservative voters. So what we have got now is a potential four-way slowdown. Mamdani, Adams, Sliwa and Como. And with Como still on the ballot, anything can happen now. So, what is the silent strategy, campaign or not? Interstelling Cap Como hasn't said whether he will actively campaign this summer and fall. He might lay low and watch how the race unfolds, or he might re emerge with a full campaign machine in September or October. So this wouldn't be the first time he has stayed on a ballot without campaigning. Back in 2002, he remained on the ballot as the Liberal Party candidate for governor even after dropping out of the Democratic primary. So he has done this before, and it shows he is no stranger to unconventional political moves. And one source puts it, there is no clock ticking. Como can take this time, feel the pulse of the city, and make his next move when he is ready. So let's see the political landscape, endorsements, and divides. Now let's look at the political reaction. So far, Governor Kathy Hochul, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, and House Minority Leader Hakim Jeffries have praised Mamdani for his primary win, but none of them have actually endorsed him. That's telling. Meanwhile, two House Democrats from swing districts outside the city have criticized Mamdani, signaling discomfort with his more left leaning views. Republicans, as expected, are attacking Mamdani and trying to use his win to paint the Democratic Party as too extreme. All of this creates a lot of political tension and a wide open space in the middle that Como could potentially fill. He could position himself as a safe harbor candidate, someone for moderate Democrats and independents who feel uneasy about Mamdani or distrustful of Adams. But of course, his path won't be easy. Como is still haunted by the sexual harassment allegations that led to his resignation as governor in 2021. Allegations he continues to deny. There is also lingering anger over his handling of the COVID 19 pandemic, particularly in the nursing homes. Those controversies sparked a wave of progressive energy that helped Mamdani rise in the first place. So, even if the voters are unsure about Mamdani, they may not be eager to welcome Como back either. So, guys, where does this leave us? Andrew Cuomo is still in the race, at least on paper. He hasn't launched a campaign, but he has left the door wide open to return. Mamdani is moving forward as the Democratic nominee, full of momentum and a passionate base. Adams is running as an independent, and Sliwa is holding his ground on the Republican side. So, guys, this election just went from simple to completely unpredictable. Will Como re enter the race and reshape the entire conversation, or will he quickly fade out while still leaving his name on the ballot? Will Mamdani ride the progressive wave all the way to City Hall, or will the establishment, the moderates, and the media come after him hard? And how will the voters, especially those outside of the Democratic base, respond when it's time to cast their ballots in November? Only time will tell. But one thing is for sure, the New York City mayoral race just became one of the most fascinating political stories of 2025. So stay tuned, subscribe to this channel, hit that like button, and drop a comment below. Who do you think will this race win? And should Como make a comeback? Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.